Imagine you've got 1 lakh rupees and a dream to build the ultimate gaming PC. But do you go Intel or AMD? You know what? With some suggestions from a local store, I went aboard and built both, and the results might surprise you. So here's the deal. I had to build a gaming PC under the budget of 1 lakh rupees, and instead of just picking one build like a normal person, I said, why not try two? One powered by Intel, the other by the AMD. Both under the same budget, it was time for an ultimate gaming build showdown. I have been helping friends build gaming rigs for years, and the Intel versus AMD debate never ends. Some swear by Intel's stability and others can't stop hyping AMD's value. So I decided to stop the debates and just test it by myself. Same budget, same GPU, same vibe, just different brains. But man, the excitement of unboxing everything was next level. That moment when the RTX 3060 arrives. Chef's kiss. Both builds use it because hey, it's still a beast for 1080p and 1440p gaming in 2025, especially on a budget. So I had two builds CPUs in hand, an Intel Core i5-14400 for build number 1 and an AMD Ryzen 5 7600X for build number 2. Both upper mid-range heroes, but I wanted to see how these strengths actually feel in real game, not just on paper. Spoiler alert. One build surprised me in ways I didn't even expect, and I'm gonna walk you through it all. The parts, the performance, and yes, which one I'd choose if I had to do it all over again. Let's start with what went into these machines, then the choices I made, the tiny differences that made a big impact, and why this battle was way closer than I thought it would be. Intel versus AMD, the CPU battle. On the Intel side, we've got the Core i5-14400, 10 cores, solid hybrid architecture, great thermals, and honestly for a mid-range chip, it doesn't break a sweat. Booted fast, handled multitasking like a champ, and now felt smooth in games. Now, AMD is flexing with a higher Ryzen 5 7600X, 6 high-performance cores, higher base and boost clock speeds, and a bit pricier. But man, this thing is fast. Opening games like snappy, and paired with DDR5 RAM, you'll see what matters the most. Verdict? Intel's more budget-friendly and still rocks, but that AMD gives you the better 1% low in games, less stutter and smoother gameplay. If you care about frame consistency, Ryzen might just edge you out. Motherboard check. Intel build used the MSI B760M Bomber DDR4 board with Wi-Fi, solid build, no nonsense. It's got everything you need for a budget gaming setup. Easy BIOS, no issues. AMD used the MSI B650M gaming Wi-Fi. This one supports DDR5 and comes with slightly better connectivity and a future-proofing. Setup was just as smooth, but the price difference shows. It's around 250 rupees more, but gives you next-gen RAM support. What's the verdict? If you want to stick with DDR4 and save cash, Intel's board wins. But for future upgrades, AMD's got the edge. RAM battle. Intel build has 32 gigs of G-Skill Trident Z Neo DDR4 3600 MHz, gorgeous RGB, reliable speeds, no complaints, handled everything I threw at it. AMD went full next gen with G-Skill Ripjaws DDR5 5200 MHz, same 32 gigs of RAM but faster memory. And trust me, that DDR5 bump showed me in load times and background tasks, slightly better responsiveness. So what's the verdict? DDR5 is the future and it gave AMD a small performance nudge. But if you're only gaming, you're not gonna see a massive difference right now. Storage face-off. Intel used 5 gigs of WD Black SN770, great Gen 4 SSD, loads fast with no issues. AMD went with an ADATA Legend 710 512 GB, a bit slower in write speed but honestly in real-world use, barely noticeable. Verdict? Intel wins on paper here, but unless you're doing file-heavy work, both are snappy enough for gaming. Graphics card, the equalizer. Now, this one's easy. Both builds use the exact same GPU, the Gigabyte RTX 3060 WindForce OC12GB, and yes, even in 2025, the 3060 is still holding it down in the budget space. 1080p ultra settings, no problem. 1440p medium to high, totally playable. In both builds, the GPU performed mostly identical. But fun fact, AMD's system felt a bit smoother thanks to those stronger 1% lows I mentioned earlier. Still, credit to Nvidia for keeping a card that just keeps aging like fine wine. So what's the verdict? same GPU, same performance. But the platform around it, CPU plus RAM, gave AMD a little boost in frame stability. Power supply stability check. Intel build came with a Cooler Master 850 watt gold rated PSU, rock solid, very reliable and a bit overkill honestly, but hey, gives you headroom for future upgrades. AMD build had the AND Esports FG 850 watt gold, also 850 watt, also gold rated, slightly cheaper and worked just fine. Both were silent but didn't even flinch under heavy load. Verdict: this was a tie. Both PSUs are solid and both give you the peace of mind. Let's talk about cabinet, the looks and the airflow. Intel's rocking the Cooler Master CMP 520. Sleek, RGB fans pre-installed, great airflow, easy cable management, it just looks clean. AMD build went with the Gamdia's Athena E1 Elite, a bit more aggressive in design, slightly cheaper, still decent airflow, but the cable management not as fun. Verdict: Intel's cabinet wins for build experience and polish. AMD's is alright, just not as refined. Monitor, the visual matters. Intel's setup used a Samsung Odyssey G3 24-inch 165Hz display. Crisp, vibrant, great for fast-paced gaming. AMD build had the Gigabyte G24F2, also 24-inch 165Hz but with a better color calibration out of the box and slightly thinner bezels. Verdict: AMD wins this one. The Gigabyte's display looked just a bit better side-by-side use. Let's talk about keyboards, mouse and the extras. Both builds had the same Gamedia's Hermes E3 mechanical keyboard and Logitech G402 mouse. Reliable, responsive, no fluff. Mousepad, same too. These weren't the deciding factors but solid choices all around. So, after setting up both the rigs, I spent an entire weekend gaming like a maniac. I played everything from Apex Legends and Valorant to Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring. And I kept switching between the two setups to see how fast they really are. Here's the surprising part: both systems crushed it. Seriously, for under 1 lakh, these builds gave me frame-to-frame stability and they made me forget I was on a budget. In esports titles, both were pumping out the 165 FPS easily. The Intel system felt super smooth and stable. Classic plug-and-play performance, but in more demanding games, the AMD build has slightly better 1% lows, meaning fewer micro stutters and more fluid gameplay. Load times on the AMD system were also a bit quicker, likely thanks to the DDR5 RAM and better CPU single-core speed. But again, nothing game-changing unless you're really watching closely. So, which one would you choose? If you're building your first gaming PC, want something super stable and plan to stick with DDR4, the Intel build is the safer bet. It's slightly cheaper, super reliable and gets the job done. But if you're into future-proofing, faster load times and smoother gameplay in heavier titles, the AMD build is worth the extra few bucks. The DDR5 support and higher clocks really do give it a slight edge. Either way, you're walking away with a killer gaming rig, and honestly building both was as way fun than it sounded to be. Let us know about your thoughts in the comment section. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this to someone who is still confused between AMD and Intel. Until next time.